Hello and welcome to the LinkedIn Live. My name is Tina Pereira and today we have a guest, Juliana Rabbi. Hi,
Hi.
Juliana.
Hi, Tina. So happy to be here. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this
Hi.
live.
Welcome. I'm so glad that you could join us from Portugal today. So, today we will talk about how to land a remote job. And you're a career coach specialized in finding and landing remote jobs. And
Yes.
you have worked as a recruiter in the HR industry for 15 years, and we both have that background. So, and you have worked and lived and traveled in so many countries. And together, I think we have about 20 years of remote work experience. So,
Wow. That's amazing. I love that. 20 years of remote work experience. That's powerful. I love it.
so what I find amazing about your work is that you walk the talk. So you have really lived it, and you're living it and inspiring others. So
Yes.
um, everyone who is watching us, you can join us with your comments. If you want to ask anything about the remote work, please leave a comment below, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. So now with those crazy times, everyone has had the experience with working from home. But just to clarify, is it the same thing, working from home and remote work? What is the difference?
Plenty differences, actually, Tina. So it's a very nice question to start because I understand that a lot of people today, they think that working from home during the pandemic is exactly the same thing as working remotely, and it's not. Working from home during the pandemic is just one way of working remotely. During the pandemic, we barely could leave the house, right, for all the situation that was happening. So it was way more difficult to socialize, to take care of all the areas of our life. Also, companies and employees, they were not prepared for this sudden change, and from one day to the other they had to start working from home. They didn't choose it. Companies were not prepared with the right systems, with the right processes for that. So working from home during the pandemic is just like, let's say, 10% of all the possibilities that working remotely can offer. So when you work remotely, you normally can choose where you work from, and it can be from home if you want, if it's more convenient, if you have to do, I don't know, some specific kind of work that works better for you from home. For example, when I have client calls, I prefer to work from home because I can close the windows, I have silence, nobody will disturb me. But I can also choose to work from, for example, from a co-working space, a different one. So I can choose which ones I want to work from. I can choose to work from a cafe, for example, a coffee shop. I can, if I'm visiting friends or family, I can work from their home. I can travel to another country and work from a restaurant. So when you work remotely, you have the opportunity to choose the physical place that you're going to work. That's one of the difference between working remotely and working from home during the pandemic. Also, when you work remotely, I'm assuming that the company you work for has a system, has already processes for allowing remote work. So you probably have some kind of internal chat that you can communicate with your colleagues. The processes are already defined. You have everything you need in your laptop. You have maybe a work phone. So you have the resources that you need to do your job properly, to communicate with your team, with your clients, if it's a client support position. But in the pandemic, this change happened so fast that some of those processes were not ready yet. So you're missing information, you're missing ways to communicate properly with the team. So it was kind of forcing too much the machine, the working from home, but we did what we could. But working remotely is way more, and there is a lot of flexibility, choices, free time and breaks and lunch breaks with friends and going outside for a walk if you're tired, going to the supermarket, taking a nap at your lunchtime if you're feeling tired. Things that the pandemic probably didn't allow people, also because of the pressure and all the tension that we were living. But yeah, working remotely is definitely way, way more than just working from home during the pandemic.
Yeah, and I think it's a really interesting point, that you can choose where you want to work from, that you can go to different countries for 6 months, and that's the opportunity that we didn't have during the pandemic. But there is also something that I find very interesting with the flexibility when it comes to remote work, that it can be different from company to company and from position to position. I recently worked with a remote position, and we were looking for e-commerce manager, so somebody who works on the e-commerce platform, so the person doesn't have to be physically in the office. And it was a really broad, the location could be almost anywhere in Europe, depending on where the company had their offices. So explain a little bit, what are the differences in, does it mean that when you work remotely that you can work from a paradise island, or what does it mean?
It depends. So there is no such a thing like a remote job that is always the same for everybody, for every company, for every position. We keep saying remote job as if it was only one thing, like this is remote job, take it or leave it. But actually, it's not like that. When you start investigating more or talking to people or doing job interviews for remote positions, you will see that it's more complex than it looks like. So to start with, some companies, they will require that you have a certain nationality, a certain passport to be hired by the company. Okay, that's mainly for taxes purpose. So it's very common, for example, in the US, that is way more advanced than other countries in all of that related to remote work, that they say this remote position is available only for US citizens. So you must have Italian, Italian is what I have. You must have a American passport to be able to be hired for that company. So there is nothing much you can do about it if you're not American. Like the system that they have, the hiring system, the payment doesn't, support someone from a different nationality. So this is a very important information that you as a job seeker want to check. Is there any specific nationality that they're looking for or not? This is one aspect. The other aspect is that sometimes the company allow you to work remotely within the country. I just saw a job offer today on LinkedIn. It was saying it is a remote position. You can work from anywhere, any city in Spain. So it is remote. You don't need to be in Madrid or in Barcelona, but you cannot be in another country. So remote within the same company, the same country, sorry. That's also another possibility. Other times, you need to be available in a certain period of time. So let's say between 2 to 4 CET time. What does it mean? It means that during those 2 hours, you should be available for probably meetings, phone calls, a client support in that time zone. So if you are working from a different time zone, you can, but imagine you're in Asia and then this 2 to 4 CET time is your 2 a.m. there. So, well, you can do it, but you should be available. It doesn't matter in which time zone you are, you should be available at that time. And sometimes you don't need to be available in any specific time. You have completely freedom regarding location. So you can be anywhere in the world, even in the Paradise Beach in Thailand, if you want, for example, and you can work in any working hours that you want. So you have your project, you have your tasks, you have the things you need to do, and you just do it anytime. So if you prefer to work in the morning, you can do that in the morning, then you can take a long break, go surfing, for example, and then you're back to work in the afternoon. You don't need to be logged in, you don't need to be connected in a certain period of time. So all of that, they are very different one from another, but they are all remote work. Yeah, legitimate remote work for a company. They will pay you all the benefits of all that I mentioned is remote work. So as a job seeker, you should know that there are big differences between one remote job and the other, apart from the salary, apart from the benefits, the task. I'm just saying about the conditions of working remotely, the flexibility that you're going to have. So when you go apply for a remote job, I would say actually before you apply, try to understand which kind of job, where do I need to be, where can I be physically, which are the working hours, which is the time zone, if there is any nationality restriction before you apply, because then you have more chances to succeed if you're applying for something that is according to your own conditions. Not everybody wants to travel, for example, working remotely, right? So you don't need to go for a remote job that allows you to travel. You don't need that. Maybe if you can work just from home or from your country, that's enough. So just understand. First is like, look to your reality, to your needs, what you want for your career, what will make you happy. And then you go and find a company that provides that. But it's very different, one remote job from the other.
Yes, so that's really something to think about and look out as well, because it's a broad umbrella name for so many
Yes.
different type of jobs. So we got a question before we went live from Jana Rodonic. How does one who is not a native English speaker and non-EU citizen land a remote position?
Good, good. I have real examples of clients from Brazil. They are Brazilian. They are living in Brazil. They speak some English, but not fluent. And they are working remotely for Brazilian companies. So it's that situation that I mentioned. They can be in Brazil, they can travel a little bit, but mainly they need to be in Brazil, and they use Portuguese, which is the language in Brazil. So, Jana, it is possible to find jobs, even if you're non from the European Union, and even if you're not a native English speaker. Normally, jobs will not ask for you to be native. They will ask for you to be able to communicate properly. Because think about it, when we talk about remote jobs, you amplify the perspective of hiring people everywhere. So it doesn't make much sense that a company is remote and is hiring only from one country if they can hire remote, right? So you will probably have in your team a lot of people that are non-native English speaking, as far as they are able to communicate properly, because communication is a key skill for any kind of remote job. So write it down. If you're searching for a remote job, communication is a must. You have to write properly in English, because there is a lot of chat and emails going on, speaking over the phone, do video calls and video conference presentations. So communication is a must. I wouldn't worry too much again about not being a native. It doesn't need to be a handicap, as far as you're able to communicate properly, verbally and on a written way in English. That's the main thing. Another option is that you can search for jobs that are remote but doesn't require English. So start by checking jobs in your own country. I would go for that. It doesn't matter which country you are from. I don't know in your case, but search for remote opportunities within your country. So the English will be like a secondary language, maybe not the most important one. But as a general comment, I would say that for everybody who is considering a remote job, English is very important. English is something that will definitely open doors for you. So you might not be fluent. You can fix that. If you're not native, you cannot fix that. But again, you don't need to be native.
Yeah, none of us is native English speakers, so
Exactly. So you can improve the English level that you have in a way that you're able to hold a conversation. Think about doing a job interview, for example, for your future remote job. Probably the job interviews in plural, or every step of the recruitment process will be in English. So that's the level you should have, be able to understand, to make yourself understandable, to write and to read, and that should be enough for you to communicate in your job. But if you don't speak English properly, if you're not confident about your English level, it's worth it to invest in getting more confident about your English level, because that's going to open so many possibilities for you to work remotely. So definitely invest in your English. That's a good thing to go remote.
yeah. Let me see. Another one that I wanted to highlight, because not everyone knows what are the pros and cons with remote work, because um, many people work remotely, meaning with remote teams that their managers are based in a different continent. So there are different time zones. So you work with different cultures. You have the language barrier. So there are so many things. You already mentioned the flexibility, which being the boss of your own time. I mean, you still have to work hard, but maybe explain a little bit about the good parts as well.
Okay,
And
the good and the bad. Yes,
yeah,
let's talk about that. Yeah. First, Tina, I think it's important to mention that remote work is not for everybody. Okay, we don't need to convince people to work remote or try to, explain 200 times that it's good for everybody. It's not good for everybody. And I always think like about chocolate, for example. I love chocolate, but some people don't like chocolate. So yeah, but some people, I don't know how, but they don't like chocolate. So it's not, it's just like chocolate. Some people will love it. For some people, working remotely makes sense, is what will bring happiness to them. And for other people, no. So there is no point about trying to convince everybody to work remote. Some positions we still need people working in the office. So it's
yes,
good
of
that
course.
some people want to do that. So yeah, there's no problem about that. It's not about convincing people, but I can share my experience and the feedback I have from my clients, the people I help to land a remote job. Let's start from the bad side, the cons of working remotely. Okay, a very common complaint of people that work remote is that they miss human connection. They miss being with their work colleagues. You know, the typical, in the middle of the morning, you go for coffee and then you standing up and you're talking to your colleagues, or you go together to have lunch, or the classic thing, you're in your laptop, you just turn around and say, oh, on the weekend I did this and that. So it's easier to interact with people when you are in the office, because it just feels more natural. When you're working remotely, you need to send a chat and say, hi, can I tell you are you busy? Can I tell you what happened on my week? So sometimes it feels like a bit forced. So when you are in an office environment, it's more natural to socialize with people, to spend time together, to create those connections with people, because you see them every day, you spend time with them. So yeah, if you don't work in the office, you need to be careful to do not be isolated and not meeting people at all. That's a risk, an extreme situation, but you need to be more intentional about meeting people, because in the office that happens naturally, right? When you work in the office also, it's easier to ask for help, because for the same reason, imagine you're seated here, you have someone right beside you, or you have someone in the office like 3 steps away. It's easier if you have a problem with your Excel, for example. You just go, hi, can you please help me here? I cannot figure out this formula. And the person comes behind your computer and and tell you, and that's it. So solutions can happen faster. You don't need to write a formal email or make a phone call to ask for help with the formula in the Excel. So some things just move faster when you're working in the office, right? In the office environment. Also, some people like to create this separation, the physical separation from, I don't want to be in my house all the time in pajamas with my kids around and, thinking about washing the dishes or put the dishwasher, cleaning the house or going to the supermarket. I prefer I concentrate more when I go to the office. I kind of literally close the door of my house and then I go to different space where I can focus more. So for some people, it really helps them to focus, to be in the office, like get dressed to go to work. It's a kind of ritual. Wake up, I have my coffee, whatever, and then I walk or I drive to the office. I get dressed before that. And so they get there, they are in a state of mode that they are ready to work. For some people, that really helps. Also, it's easier when you work from the office to somehow disconnect from work, especially if you, for example, have a physical laptop or a physical computer that stays in the office,
Ah,
right?
yeah.
So you don't bring it home. So it's like, well, yeah, I mean, until I come back tomorrow to work, there is nothing I can do about work because I don't have the laptop or I don't have access to the files I need or I don't have a work phone. So this is happening less because nowadays
Yeah.
everybody has a work phone where all the emails are there. But it's still, when you work in the office, sometimes what you need to work, some information, some tools, the access to some folders are only in the office. So it can be easier to separate. Okay, I finish working at 6 p.m. I go home, I do other stuff, my personal projects, spend time with my family, whatever I want to do until tomorrow, 9 a.m. when I go there. So that works also better for some people to kind of put the limits between work and the other sides of my life. So maybe those are the four main positive aspects that came to my mind now when talking about why people prefer to work from the office. And on the other side, we have the ones who prefer to work outside of the office, myself included, I have to say. For me, it was a process because until 2014, until 31st of December 2013, I was working in an office. And then from the 1st of January, January 1st, 2014, I had to start working from home. It was like an internal change in the company I was working at the time as a
Mhm.
recruiter. So they changed my contract and I had to, literally from one day to the other, I had to, not like the pandemic, but I couldn't go to the office anymore. So I started working from home. So I did all the working from home for like, I don't know, 5, 6 years. And then at some point, I realized that if I can work well from home, for me, it was time to start traveling and working at the same time. I didn't want to have to work from home. I wanted to work from whatever place I could call home. So I start traveling and working at the same time. So it has been a long process for me since 2014. But I also talked to people who recently started working remotely. And the main pros, I would say, is we mentioned before already, but like the flexibility, this is something important. So you can choose from, if you want to work from a table, use a table to work. If you want to sit on the couch, if you want to sit on the floor, if you want to have a stand desk that you stand and sit whenever you want. So you don't need to justify that to your boss. When you go to an office, you have your workstation, your chair. If your computer is facing the wall, that's everything you're going to see the whole day. But when you work remote, I like to play with my laptop. So I face the window and then the sun comes, I face the other side. So you have flexibility into those small things, but that they make a big difference. So flexibility and ability to make choices about whatever works better for you. That's one of the pros about working remotely. Also, as I said, you can choose physically where to work. So of course, depending on as we spoke before, depending on the company, the time zone that you have to work and all of that. But most of the cases you can work from a cafe if you want, from a co-working space, from your parents' house, from your boyfriend farm. As far as you have internet, that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
You get very addicted to Wi-Fi, good connection. Let me check that. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's a con, I would say. That's a bad side because you get really addicted to it. But I think somehow all of us nowadays are already addicted to good Wi-Fi. But when you work remotely, this has to be a priority for you. So it's not like, as you mentioned before, like working from the beach, which is super fancy, and then you post that photo on Instagram. Well, yes, but make sure you have proper connection. You can see it well, otherwise your back's gonna hurt after a few hours. That you can see the computer properly. You don't have like the sun reflection. So it's not about paradise, as you mentioned also, Tina, is still work. So you have to deliver results. You have to be productive. You have to commit to the work, to the company, to your colleagues. You have responsibility. So it's still work, but you can choose where to do it from, in which conditions, the workspace. You can figure out that. You can also organize your day, your agenda in the way that it works better for you, right? So if you are in an office, for example, and you want to have breakfast, I don't know, 11 a.m., in some companies, they will look at you in a weird face. It's like, why are you having breakfast at 11? It's almost lunchtime. Or you should have had breakfast before. This kind of thing that when you are at home or working from a different place, nobody will judge you. If you're hungry, you can have food. If you're thirsty, you have a glass of water. If you're tired, you can just like stretch. And, if you're really tired, you can take maybe a 10, 15 minutes nap. You have more autonomy when organizing your daily agenda. So I love that, this flexibility. If you're more tired, if you have more energy in the morning, and if you can, so you can work more hours in the morning. Some people work very well in the afternoon, evening. So sometimes you can do that. And then you have like the mornings free to yourself. So this autonomy to organize your working hours and agenda in a way that suits you better. Another good thing about working remote is that you develop some skills that when you work in the office you don't need to develop. So you have no other choice, so you get more independent. You
Yeah.
need to um, try to find a solution before you ask for help. The example I mentioned before, right? When you work in an office, you have someone right beside you. You just say, hey, can you help me with Excel here? But when you're working remotely, you won't just send an email about the Excel, because it can be even complex to explain what is the problem if you don't really understand. So probably you're going to check YouTube and check some videos to how to find a solution for that. You're going to try a few things. So you get more this proactive approach to work and to finding solutions, which is a great thing to develop. So you try stuff first before you ask for help, which is, yeah, it gives you more autonomy and more proactiveness to face solutions. Also, another thing about remote work is that it's all about results, showing results,
Yeah.
okay? Because when you are working in the office, if you're seated there in your chair for 8 hours, Monday to Friday, and we all know that, I have done that already. You can be like on Facebook, you can be checking your personal emails, whatever. And then when the boss passes, you just change the screen quickly. So you're not actually working the 8 hours, right? But you have to be there physically. Even if you finish what you have to do at 5, you probably still have to be there until 6. Otherwise, you have to ask for permission to leave before, but you need to justify. So there is a lot of bureaucracy around it. You have to be in the office doing the working hours. When you work from home, is different. If you're done, if you finish your project, your task, whatever, you don't need to be in front of the computer pretending that you are working. You can just go and do something else. So it's way more towards results and do what you have to do with good quality. But if you're done before 6 p.m., that's it. You don't need to be there pretending that you're working. Yeah, and I
You
love
can,
that.
you can finish it for the day. Yeah. We have a question here from Vanessa Wagner. She's also from Brazil. Hi, Vanessa.
Hi,
She lives in
Vanessa. Hi.
Belgium. Yes. And she says, hi, Juliana and Tina. To find a remote job, do you have to have your own company or be an entrepreneur, or can you be hired in a monthly basis?
Very
And
good.
that's a really, really good question, because I often work with people who are employed by companies, and it's really, you don't have to be an entrepreneur, and it's really, yeah, this the same way as you would be working for a company, but you're just physically not in the office. So I think getting that right, and having that mindset that you can almost work as an entrepreneur, but you work for a company. So it's really something in between, maybe before you want to go, like you started working for a company remotely or not in the office, and then you decided to go further with the coaching business and start your own company.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly what I did. So I worked as an employee. So I
Mhm.
was hired by companies that I could work remote for many years. So I was an employee, but instead of going to the office every day, I was working from home at the beginning, but I was getting paid for a company. I had a fixed salary, fixed and bonus, but like I had the salary, I had someone, a company paying me for many years. And then at some point, I decided to have my own company. So I presented my resignation note. I quit my commitment with that company, and now I have my own company. I have my clients. But there are basically, Tina and Vanessa, 3 ways to work remotely, 3 different ways that will give you the lifestyle, the flexibility, the autonomy, and all of that. The first one is that you can work as I did at the beginning. I was an employee of remote company. So I was working for one company, But instead of going to the office every day, I was working from home or from wherever I wanted. So you are an employee, you sign a contract, you work from Monday to Friday, a certain amount of hours doing this and that is specified in your job description, and the company pays you every month or every 2 weeks. Some companies pays every 2 weeks. So this is the first way to work remotely. You are an employee of a company, but instead of going to the office, you work remotely. First option. Second option is that you work as a freelancer. Okay, so you don't work for a company specifically. You have different clients. Maybe even companies are your clients. So you can serve
Yes.
companies, you can serve individuals that pay you. Imagine like someone that does websites, for example. So you can be a freelancer web developer, and Tina can hire you to do the service. I can hire you to do the service. Someone in the US can hire you. So you have different clients. You put your price, you pay your taxes, right? You issue an invoice, the people pay you, and then you pay your tax. And you also have the flexibility. You also can work from anywhere. You also make your own hours, but you are freelancer. You don't have a work contract with a company like the first option had. So being an employee working remotely, work for a company, being a freelancer, having your own clients and organizing your agenda, your price. And the third option is having your own company. So you are a company, you pay your taxes. There is not a company paying you a salary, a fixed salary. You pay your taxes, you offer your services or products, you have people working for you, you provide your service. So you are a company, and you also can have flexibility, autonomy, work from wherever you want. And yeah, so those three options: as an employee, as a freelancer, or as an entrepreneur or a business owner, these are three ways that you can work remotely. So there are plenty opportunities actually, and it's amazing because not everybody wants to have their own business, because there is a lot of things involved, right? When you have a business, a lot of responsibility, a lot of downside of this. So it's not that
Marketing,
easy.
sales,
Yes, yes.
accounting. Yes.
Exactly. A lot of things that is not the job only itself, right? You have to take care of several areas. So it's not for everybody, and it doesn't have to be. You can just do a very similar job to the one you're doing now from an office to a company that you work remotely. So there are ways you can do the three things in different. I have done the three of them in different moments of my life. So before I had my own company, I did freelancer too. So I did the three options. I combined them. I was working remotely, and I was doing some freelancer gigs also. So all combinations are possible, as far as they make sense for you, as far as you are comfortable, you're learning, you're growing, and you have the things you're looking for in this situation. So good question. Yeah.
I have a one about, no, that's another one. This one, because I think there are many people who want to go for remote jobs, but they currently have a job and they don't know how to start, and maybe they don't want to signal to the whole LinkedIn network, their boss looking at their posts or their profile. Maybe they just want to do it secretly. So
Yes.
how to go about that?
Yes, that's very funny because earlier today I recorded a video for my YouTube channel talking exactly about it. How did I name the video? Like how to do your job search when you're working without your boss knowing. Something like that, the title. So it's gonna be in my YouTube channel in a few weeks, but I recorded this morning. So that's funny that you're asking that. If you can start your job search for a remote job while you're still working, that's the ideal situation. That's the best way to do that. Why is that? Because you
For
are not,
any job, actually.
yeah, so you're still working in the office or for any kind of job, but also for remote work, because not everybody knows yet how to search and how to find, more than search, right? How to find a remote job. So it might take some time. It's not like, okay, I'm starting my job search for a remote job today. By 1st of October, I'm gonna, have the new job and all of that. I mean, it could happen, but it might take a long time. There is a lot of competition nowadays with remote job. Everybody's considering that. People who are not thinking about remote job before, now they are. So there's this boom in the market right now. So it might take some time. So if you are working at the moment, and if you're not burnt out, you still can cope with your job for a few more months, my suggestion is that you keep doing your job, and parallel to it, you start searching for a remote job. That's the ideal situation. I know that not everybody's in this situation. It's okay, but you can and you should try to do it. Keep your job and do the job search in the meantime. But of course, you need to be discreet about it because you don't want to create problems to you in your current job. That would be very silly. So don't go this way. You don't want to do things in a bad way. It's always good if you can close a chapter in the current company that are working in the best way as possible. You never know who is going to ask reference to your current boss and all of that. So it's not worth it to
You can count
burn a
on it.
bridge.
Yeah, you can count
Exactly.
on it that they will ask for references. And
Exactly.
I see on so many people's CVs that they work for a company, go work somewhere else. They didn't adapt to the company culture and they come back to the old company. So
Yes,
this happens
that
so
happens.
often.
But
Yeah.
you need to leave the doors open, right? Otherwise, you can't go back. So you never know what's going to happen. So just do things in a discreet and respectful way. So keep doing your current job, keep having a great performance. Don't let your, keep doing what you have to do. But at the same time, let's see how to do the job search in a discreet way. So first, please, please, please listen to me if you're watching this video. Please, please, please don't put that green frame on your photo on LinkedIn saying open to work. Okay. This is a tool that LinkedIn offers. You can select that green thing. I hope people know what I'm talking about. So in your profile photo, that round one on LinkedIn, you can select one option. Yeah, in your face, like that photo that should be like a profile photo. And then you can select a button that will appear like this side, like open to work in green. Okay. This is a resource that LinkedIn facilitated. I think it was at the beginning of this year or around that. But normally, most of the recruiters, most of the companies, some people like it, some recruiters like it, some don't. I don't want to go too much into that because my point here is how to do the job search in a discreet way, right? So if you put this open to work around your profile photo, you're making it very explicit that you're looking for a new job. And this is not convenient because you're still working. So avoid any kind of explicit reference to, hey, I'm available, I'm looking for a remote job. So avoid this frame open to work. Avoid, please, putting in the headline, that line right under your name on LinkedIn. Do not mention anything like looking for new opportunities, open to a new job, interested in remote jobs, available for remote opportunities. Don't do that. Don't do that because you're making it very obvious for everybody. So don't mention that. Also, in other parts of your profile, be careful with that. There is the about, before it was called the summary part, right, in your LinkedIn. It's that blank space that you can write. You have 2,000 characters to write whatever you want in your profile. So you can mention, notice the difference here. You can mention that you work remotely during the pandemic, for example. That's a great thing to mention. You can mention what you've learned working remotely during the pandemic. You can mention achievements that you had while working remotely, but you don't need to say explicit, I'm looking for a remote job. So talk about it, make sure people know that you work remotely, that you're still working remotely, and you generate great results for the company while doing that, that you enjoyed, that you develop new skills, but don't say
Or
clearly,
that you were leading a remote team in Asia of
that
10
would be
people, for
amazing. Yes.
example. Yeah.
So mention how many people in the team, which were the good results about it, like increase client retention by 30% in 6 months working remotely. So be specific about it. That's going to look amazing. That's going to show that you are a good professional, that you're capable of working remotely, that you learned the skills in the process. So you're showing the skills, you're showing you're capable of doing that. So recruiters will read that. Believe me, they do read those things on LinkedIn, and they will see that you are a good fit for the position. But you are not saying, I'm looking for a remote job opportunity, because you're still working and you don't want to create problems to yourself, right? So just be very careful during all your LinkedIn profile to don't mention in an explicit way that you're looking for remote jobs. But there are some settings, some configuration on LinkedIn that you want to pay attention. So under there is the profile photo, there is your name, there is the headlines. Right after that, there is one button, the left side. It's like open to work. I think that's the thing, open to work. So you click that button and you can list up to 5 job titles that you're looking for. So I recommend you do that. Up to 5 locations you are interested in work. And then there is a magic button. It's like a square that you can click and say, I'm available for remote work opportunities. This is the place that you're going to show, because only recruiters will have information, will have access to this information. So mark in this open to work box on LinkedIn that I'm open to remote work opportunities. And also under that comes the part that you can select that green frame that I mentioned before, the open to work, that everybody who check your profile will see that. Don't do that. And under that, you have another option that say only show to recruiters that you are open to work. Actually, it's recruiters that have a paid profile on LinkedIn called LinkedIn Recruiter. Not all the recruiters have that, but in any case, you want to choose this option. Only show to recruiters that you are open to remote work. And then please save all the configuration that you did, and that's going to reflect in your profile. In this way, you are showing a professional, high-level profile in a public way for everybody who see your profile on LinkedIn, and only for recruiters you're showing the exactly job titles you're looking for. You're showing that clearly you want to work remotely, and you are not making it explicit with this open to work framework. These are the ways I recommend you do that on LinkedIn. When it comes to resume, Tina, and the person who also asked that, you can be more explicit, because remember, when you send a resume or a curriculum, it is for one specific company, one position, or you're sending it via email to a recruiter. So it's different, right? It's only that person that will have access to that information. So you can be more explicit. You can say, I'm interested in remote work position. You can say it's a safe environment because you're forwarding that to one person or to the database of that company. But LinkedIn is like a showcase, right? It's open 24 hours. We are talking here. People might be checking, Tina, your profile right now, or my profile. And we cannot control that. So whatever goes on LinkedIn, we need to be careful because it's open, it's public. So just, yeah, be more careful with LinkedIn than with your resume.
And when recruiters see the open for work option, it's possible to select the candidates who have chosen that one, so that we contact first the ones who are open to work, because they might be the ones who react quicker and would be more interested to know about new opportunities. So that's also how it can be selected and come on first page of the search results.
Yes. So just use the settings, play a bit with the settings of LinkedIn, and you can also talk to people directly via direct message on LinkedIn. So you can talk to recruiters, you can talk to hiring managers from the companies you want to work for, you can talk to people who are working remotely and you want to, just learn about their experience. This is something proactive that you can do to increase your job search, but you're not making it explicit. You're talking to one person at a time in a direct message. So just be careful and think, like, if my boss see that, is it going to cause any problem to me? If it's yes, don't do it. And if it's a no, keep doing it. It's easy. It's possible. It's possible to do.
I think we could talk for hours about this theme, about remote jobs, and you have so much valuable content on your YouTube channel. Where is the best way, or how to best get in touch with you?
Well, you mentioned the YouTube channel. I think it's a great way to get to know me a bit better, but mainly to know about remote jobs and use of LinkedIn, job interviews, and all of that. I do share every single week a new video in my YouTube channel. So I don't know if you can share the address here, or you can, if you go, let's say, Juliana Rabi, or if people go to my LinkedIn profile, also Juliana Rabi, you have all the the links, the URL to go directly to my YouTube channel. So it's a great way where I share free content, free high quality content about remote jobs. There is a lot of things there because it's a complex topic, right? So we can be here for like 1 hour, but still we would not touch just, a small part of that. So there's so much more that I share on my YouTube channel. I think it's a great way for people who are in this journey to learn from there. Also on LinkedIn, I share a lot of posts, content, video, and all of that. So I would say those two channels: my YouTube channel and connect with me on LinkedIn.
So very, very good tip. Connect with Juliana on LinkedIn, build your network. And I saw today you posted a video, and there are tips which search engines to look for remote jobs. And I didn't even know that it existed. So a quick spoiler. What are they called?
The jobs, the website to find remote jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
I didn't get the question, sorry.
That's on the YouTube channel as well, that came out today, the names.
Actually, today, I think it was I posted another video today. I don't know if you saw it. So one that I posted, maybe you checked it earlier, and then I posted another one about the 10 things every
It's there
person
in the
should do.
template.
This one. Okay. 10 things. Okay, got it. 10 things that every job seeker should do before applying for a remote job. So when we're in the searching for a job, we have this tendency of, oh, I found the job, let me just apply quickly. And it's like, no, breathe, because there are 10 things, 10 that you should do before you click the apply button. So I explain in details. I won't do any spoiler here, sorry. I explain in details in the video which are those 10 steps. And sometimes it's small details, but they will make the difference. So yeah, job search, Tina, and you know that well, is about taking care of the details. It's not about rushing. It's not about being faster. Timing is also important, but be careful with the details. Be careful with how you present yourself as a candidate. And I like to say planting the seeds. I use this expression a lot with my clients. So you plant the seed when, for example, you make a good comment on someone's post because you can get a lot of visibility with that comment. So we don't know if that company, that comment that you wrote will change your life and someone will offer you a remote job because of that, but you're planting the seed. You're showing what you know, you're getting more visibility. You also plant the seed when you send a personalized connection request to someone, your future hiring manager, for example, in a company, and you cause a good impression. The person's like, wow, that was professional. I like that person. I want to accept that. Let me check her profile. So you're planting the seed. It doesn't mean that you're going to land a remote job in that company, but you're causing a good impression. So there are small actions, small planting the seeds that you should be doing, taking care during the job search, because you never know which one will turn into a flower or a job offer or an interesting connection for you. So details and planting the seeds is it's more important than just rush and do things in automatic and click and apply and be in the rush. It's not about that. It's about choosing, finding companies that make sense to you, finding remote jobs that will allow you to live the lifestyle you want to have. And then once you know it, you go like more sniper to those companies and positions and recruiters and hiring managers.
I think it's so spot on that it's a sprint, it's a marathon, and networking metrics been through Ira Bauman in the US. So who could see that a year later we would be doing a LinkedIn Live? So all the small seeds matter, and it's about building your network. And there is a comment from Vanessa saying, thanks. It's a new way of living for sure. I love the 10 reasons tips. It was a really good one. So go check it out. And thank you so much, Juliana, for joining me today.
Thanks to you. Thanks to everybody. Hi, take care.
Bye.
Bye.